You may not have heard it put this way before, but according to a new report, a bunch of conservative political groups are all coming together to defund the police. It's just a very specific type of police. Of course, conservatives have loudly been arguing against defunding the police and for increasing police budgets and for mass incarceration and for stop and frisk. And their argument for all that is that you have to ruthlessly patrol all incursions, no matter how low level, someone stealing deodorant from a drugstore, squeegee men, subway turnstile hopping. All those people need the book thrown at them. Otherwise, order unravels, people can get away with anything. And then you have chaos and crime.
Check out what happened at a Walgreens in San Francisco. This is a man in broad daylight looting a store and just filling up a garbage bag.
Supporting DAs who get tough on thugs and gangbangers, that would stop crime. But Democrats don't care.
Stop and frisk isn't racist. Did most searches discover a crime? No, they didn't. But 12% of all stop and frisk searches, the frisk part, did discover a crime.
You've got to pay attention to somebody urinating on the street. It may be a minor thing. It may be a serious thing.
But there has been an under-the-radar experiment the country has been running in defunding the police in one specific domain. And it kind of supports the right-wing view on this, I gotta say. That's tax crime. The agency responsible for policing federal tax crime is the Internal Revenue Service. In 2011, Republicans took over the House and forced a massive defunding of the IRS. A study by researchers affiliated with Syracuse University found the number of IRS revenue agents fell by 43% between 2010 and 2020, with nearly half as many cops on the tax beat as 10 years ago. That has had a huge effect on who in this country gets audited. That study found that as the numbers of IRS agents were decreasing, the number of wealthy people, millionaires in the country, has nearly doubled. So the number of millionaire returns that were audited has fallen 72%. Down from more than 40,000 millionaire audits in 2012 to just over 11,000 in 2020. In 2012, audits of millionaires turned up $4.8 billion in unreported taxes. Now, with twice as many millionaires but less than a third the number of audits, the government uncovered only $1.2 billion in unreported taxes. In April, the IRS commissioner testified before Congress, saying, quote, "It would not be outlandish," listen to this, "to believe that the actual tax gap, that's the difference between how much is owed in taxes and how much is actually collected, could approach and possibly exceed $1 trillion per year." $1 trillion. That's double almost the proposed bipartisan infrastructure bill. The government could lose $1 trillion in revenue every year because Republicans defunded the tax police. Now, to be clear, I'm not talking about raising anyone's taxes. This is just talking about literally collecting the taxes that are owed, that people who can afford to pay them are criminally avoiding. Now, a group of congressional Democrats and Republicans actually agreed to increase funding for the IRS as part of that bipartisan infrastructure deal, hoping that putting more cops on the proverbial beat will bring in more revenue and help pay for the bill. But to the institutional Republican Party, the idea that rich people should be able to cheat on their taxes and get away with it is as core and central to them as any other principle, with the exception that only certain people should vote. That is why they are mobilizing to stop more funding to the IRS. And we know what the consequences of that policy will look like. Just look at the party's leader, Donald Trump, a man whose company and chief financial officer were just criminally indicted for years of ongoing systematic tax fraud, none of which, in his long years in the public eye, has been sufficiently investigated. Defending the rights of Donald Trumps of the world to not pay taxes while you do is one of the last unifying projects of the morally and intellectually desiccated Republican Party. They have pioneered a certain kind of defunding the police, and defending that is a hill they will absolutely die on, no matter how much it costs. Because when it comes to a certain class of criminal, there is no one softer on crime than the Republican Party.